Welcome to your personal deep dive. We're digging into the Formula One Saudi Arabian Grand Prix qualifying session from April 19th, 2025.
That's right. You shared a whole load of reports here from F1 blogs.
Yep, and our mission today is pretty clear. Break down this qualifying, look at the key performances, maybe some surprises, and figure out what it all means for the race on Sunday.
Exactly. We've got everything from live updates, driver quotes, timings. F1 blogs has given us a pretty full picture of how that grid shaped up.
And straight away, the headlines are suggesting it was pretty intense, a nail-biting session, couple of twists.
Oh, definitely, especially, concerning one of the main championship contenders. So, yeah, let's unpack it.
Okay, let's jump straight into Q1 then. What really caught your eye in that first part of qualifying?
Well, right off the bat, Max Verstappen set the fastest time, a 1.27.728.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, but what's interesting, and F1 blogs pointed this out, is that the McLarens had looked really, really strong all through practice, especially in those high-speed sections.
Ah, okay, so it wasn't a given for Red Bull.
Not at all. Actually, Lando Norris, he initially set the benchmark lap. Verstappen had to pull that time out later on. It kind of shows Red Bull's ability to, dial the car in right when it counts for quali.
Right, finding that extra bit. And looking down the order a bit, Sainz and Alonso?
Yeah, both made it through to Q2. Sainz ended up 8th in Q1. F1 blogs mentioned he's looked consistently quick all weekend, really.
Good for Williams. And Alonso, AstonMartin maybe weren't tipped to fly here?
Well, yeah, there was some talk they might struggle, but he got through. Fernando being Fernando, I guess.
Okay, but some drivers had to drop out, obviously. Who didn't make the cut in Q1?
We lost Lance Stroll, Jack Doohan, Nico Hülkenberg, Esteban Ocon, and Gabriel Bortoleto.
Stroll, that's a bit of a surprise, isn't it, given where AstonMartin want to be?
It does raise a few eyebrows, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially reading the F1 blogs reports about their ambitions. Maybe, just maybe, they haven't quite cracked the setup for this specific very fast circuit.
Could be. And I saw F1 blogs also mention something about Alonso's strategy, using tires.
Ah, yeah, that's a potentially key point. He apparently used his third set of soft tires just to guarantee getting into Q2.
Wow, that early. What does that mean going forward?
Well, it could definitely limit his options later. Q3, tracks rubbering in, everyone's going for it. Having fewer new soft sets is not ideal. It might hint that they felt, under pressure just to progress past Q1.
Okay. Interesting tactical element there. Right, let's move on to Q2 then. The reports on F1 blogs suggested things got even tighter.
Oh, absolutely. Q2 saw a real scrap at the front. This time, Lando Norris actually topped the session, 1.27.481.
So McLaren fighting back.
Definitely. But Verstappen was right there, super close behind him, showed that, the fight between Red Bull and McLaren was properly on.
Okay. And what about Carlos Sainz? He impressed in Q1.
He did it again. Made it into Q3, kept that strong form going for Williams.
But his teammate, Alex Albon.
Oh, yeah. Heartbreak for Alex. Just missed out. 11th, I think?
Yeah.
So, as F1 blogs highlighted, Sainz was the lone Williams warrior going into that final top 10 shootout.
That's quite a contrast in the same team, isn't it? What's that tell you about Sainz right now?
It really shines a light on his ability, doesn't it? To just wring the neck of that car and extract everything. Looking at the F1 blogs coverage of Williams this year, he's clearly a key factor for them.
Definitely seems that way. Now back to Alonso. How did he fare in Q2? Any more insights from F1 blogs there?
Unfortunately for Fernando, no Q3 this time. He finished down in 13th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it really underlines what those F1 blogs reports were suggesting about Aston Martin maybe struggling a bit on this particular high-speed Jetta layout. They didn't seem to have the ultimate pace to challenge the top guys in Q2.
Right. And F1 blogs also noted a few others who dropped out: Lawson, Hadjar, Behrman, and Hamilton. He only just made it.
He did. 10th place for Lewis, scraped through by the skin of his teeth, really.
How close was it?
Incredibly close. According to the timing data on F1 blogs, just 7 thousandths of a second separated him from Albon in P11.
Wow. 7 thousandths.
Yeah. It makes you wonder a bit about Mercedes, doesn't it? Do they have the outright pace this weekend to really challenge at the very front, tight margins?
Very tight. Okay, let's get to the main event then. Q3, the battle for pole. F1 blogs live commentary must have been buzzing.
Oh, it was absolutely dramatic. F1 blogs really flagged how Oscar Piastri, first off, just slammed at a really rapid lap early on, showed that McLaren pace again.
Laid down a marker.
Exactly. But then George Russell popped up.
Oh, Mercedes in the mix.
For a moment, yes. He went purple, snatched provisional pole, an impressive 1.27.407. F1 blogs updates were going wild for a second there, thinking Mercedes might actually challenge for P1.
Okay, so Piastri, then Russell, but then came Verstappen, right at the end, wasn't it? How did he find that time?
Yeah. It's classic Verstappen, isn't it? Under pressure, final run, he pulled out this absolutely stunning lap, a 1.27.294. F1 blogs reported it beat Piastri by just 1/100th of a second.
100th. That's unbelievable.
It really is. Piastri's lap was excellent, a 1.27.304, but Max just found that tiny bit extra. That's his second pole of the season now, matching Piastri, actually. Maybe Red Bull just tweaked something perfectly for that last run, found that sweet spot for Jeddah.
Incredible margin. But Q3 wasn't all smooth sailing, was it? F1 blogs reported a major incident.
Yeah, unfortunately. Lando Norris crashed his McLaren early in the session.
Oh, no. Is he okay?
Thankfully, yes. F1 blogs confirmed he reported he was okay over the radio, which is the main thing, obviously.
Yeah.
But the crash brought out the red flags.
Stopping the session.
Exactly. And crucially, it meant Lando couldn't set a representative lap time. So after looking so quick all weekend, he's going to be starting the race way down in 10th.
Wow, 10th. That's a massive blow for him in McLaren.
Huge setback. He showed potential front row pace, easily.
Definitely. Okay, amidst all that drama, what about Carlos Sainz? Still flying the flag for Williams.
He absolutely was. Managed to qualify 6th. A 1.28.164. That's a really, really respectable result for Williams, especially being their only car in Q3. F1 blogs definitely highlighted that as a standout performance.
6th is strong, ahead of some big names.
Yeah, ahead of a Ferrari and a Mercedes on a track like this. That says a lot about Sainz's driving and maybe the progress Williams are making too.
And the Ferraris. Leclerc qualified 4th, but Hamilton down in 7th. F1 blogs picked up on that gap.
They did. Leclerc put in 1.27.670, quite a bit quicker than Lewis's 1.28.01. It's a noticeable gap, yeah. Makes you wonder, like F1 blogs contributors were speculating if they went different ways on setup or if Leclerc just clicked better with the car here in Jeddah.
Interesting. And finally, the other Red Bull, Yuki Tsunoda.
Yuki qualified 8th, which, is decent, but he was a full second slower than his teammate Verstappen.
A whole second.
Yeah. It really just emphasizes again how much Max is extracting from that RB car right now, doesn't it? Pushing it to the absolute limit.
It really does. Okay, so after all that action, what were the drivers saying? What were the immediate reactions coming through on F1 blogs?
Well, Max, according to F1 blogs, sounded genuinely surprised, actually, and delighted, of course, with pole. Said he'd been struggling a bit in practice.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he mentioned the car only really came alive in the evening session, felt much more grip, but he's definitely aware it's going to be tough to stay ahead in the race. He knows the competition's close.
And Piastri must be gutted to miss pole by so little.
You'd think so, but his reaction reported on F1 blogs was quite measured. Felt he got pretty much everything out of the lap. He acknowledged Red Bull seemed to have an edge on these super fast tracks, something a few F1 blogs analyses noted too, but he sounded optimistic about McLaren's race pace tomorrow.
That's a good mindset. Mature.
Very much so. Seems like he understands where they are, their strengths, the weaknesses compared to Red Bull.
What about George Russell? He tasted provisional pole briefly.
Yeah, he said he was initially pleased with P3, but then when he saw how incredibly close it was, just over a 10th off pole, he did kind of wonder if maybe, just maybe, there was a fraction more time he could have found somewhere.
Always searching for those thousandths.
Exactly. He recognized McLaren looked quick here, but still felt P3 was a really strong place to start the race from. F1 blogs caught those comments post-quali. Shows you the fine lessons, doesn't it? Even a great lap makes you think, what if?
Absolutely. So looking at the bigger picture from qualifying, drawing on all the F1 blogs coverage, it seems like Red Bull and McLaren are the ones out front, right?
Yeah, they look like the clear pace setters here.
Yeah.
But Mercedes and Ferrari, they're definitely still in the mix, not miles away.
And we can't forget Sainz. Impressive P6 for Williams.
Absolutely not. Stellar job from Carlos. But yeah, the huge stories are Max snatching that pole right at the end. And of course, Lando's crash and starting P10. That's going to shake things up for the race. Definitely. Norris starting 10th after showing pace that could have put him on the front row. That's the major talking point going into Sunday. He's got a big job on his hands to recover.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this deep dive up then. Recapping the Saudi Arabian GP qualifying based on those F1 blogs reports. Max Verstappen, incredibly tight pole position. Oscar Piastri lines up alongside him in P2. George Russell, P3.
And a brilliant P6 for Carlos Sainz in the Williams. But the drama, of course, was Lando Norris crashing out in Q3, meaning he starts way back in 10th place.
What really stands out, and F1 blogs will surely dissect this, is just how quickly things can change in F1 quali. Verstappen finding that tiny edge just when it mattered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the complete contrast for McLaren, right? Piastri flying high on the front row, Norris facing a recovery drive from the midfield. Adds a whole other layer of intrigue for the Grand Prix.
It really does. And that brings us to a final thought for you, thinking about those F1 blogs insights. How much is Norris's P10 start and any potential car damage going to affect the bigger picture, the championship fight, especially since McLaren looked so quick overall this weekend?
That's the key question, isn't it?
Right.
It's definitely a storyline we'll be glued to come race day. Sets things up nicely for potentially quite an unpredictable race.
Absolutely. Should be fascinating to watch it all unfold.